Hello and welcome to my top games of 2025 video. As usual, I'm going to be splitting it up into two parts. The first being about games that came out in 2025, and the next being about games that I played for the first time this year, but didn't release this year, plus some bonus stuff at the end. Before I talk about the games I played this year, let me just mention I didn't play Expedition 33, nor did I play Silksong. I know a lot of people like those games, and I do plan on playing Expedition 33 eventually, so you might see that on next year's video. I'm a fan of turn-based RPGs, as you can probably tell from the Final Fantasy videos I've uploaded, so I look forward to trying out Expedition 33. Anyway, I played 7 games that came out this year, and watched a friend play 2 games that came out this year. I'll talk about the latter first. I watched a friend play Chrono Warden of Time and the 100-line Last Defense Academy. The 100-line is a game by Danganronpa creator Kodaka, and for the most part it's a visual novel, and with some not too difficult strategy combat sprinkled in. There are a ton of different routes, some are better than others, and your choices determine which route you'll take. There are some routes that, I'll just say it, are quite bad. But then again, there are some rather good routes that clearly had a lot of thought put into them. My favorite character was Ato, definitely one of the most interesting fellas I've ever seen. Chrono Warden of Time is a Hololive fan game with a ridiculous amount of production and polish. Seriously, I don't want to know how much effort it took to make it. The gameplay is smooth and fun, at least from what I could tell from watching my friend. The music is very good, and the story is actually pretty dang good too. Obviously, you'll get more out of it if you're already a Hololive fan, but even if you've never watched Hololive, the story and the gameplay stand on their own and can be enjoyed by anyone. Now for the games I actually played with my own 2 hands that came out this year. I'll talk about them in no particular order, but I will save my personal game of the year for last. First up, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Even though I just said no particular order, I'm starting with this one because I didn't actually finish it. Now don't get me wrong, I didn't dislike the game. I thought it was good, great even. The music is great, the gameplay is fun. I've seen some people say it's better than Mario Odyssey, and I just can't agree with that. It's probably the best Nintendo game this year. I haven't played Kirby Air Riders yet, so that might change, but regardless, it was a fun time when I did play it. Next up, Umamusume. I was kind of addicted to this for a while. Sakura Bakushin was my favorite Uma, and I did a ton of runs as her, trying to get 9 spark speed, but only ever managed to get 8. Sad. I kinda got sick of it though because it took too long to get new content and there was only so many times I could do the Ura finale. I did the Unity Cup once and then uninstalled it because it made the game size enormous on my phone. I looked at all the Umas available on the Japanese version and I thought Twin Turbo looked so cool and really wanted her, only to find out she was added into the game like 4 years in or something. Guess I won't be seeing her for a while on the global version. Anyway, fun game. Next up I'll talk about Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. This game sees you playing as Majima, and it's a fun little spin-off game. The ship combat isn't too complex, but it's fun in its simplicity. Majima's fighting styles are fun in this game as well, and the story, while very Yakuza, was still a lot of fun. I personally prefer the RPG combat from 7 and 8, but I also really enjoy the action combat as well, so I'm glad that RGG makes these spin-offs that keep the style of combat from the older games in the series. Anyway, if you're a fan of the Yakuza series and you're all caught up on the main series, I see no reason not to play this game. It's just a good time. Next, DELTARUNE Chapters 3 and 4. This was easily the announcement that got me the most excited from the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct earlier this year. I literally jumped out of my bed when I was watching it on my phone and did a little dance. Chapter 3 was the weakest chapter of DELTARUNE so far for me. I liked 10 as a character of course, but there wasn't as much intrigue in the chapter for me. It's been 6 months since I played it, so bear with me if my thoughts aren't as cohesive as they were when these chapters were fresh on my mind. When I say Chapter 3 was the weakest, I'm in no way implying that I didn't enjoy it. Rather, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Chapter 4 was very good as well. Lots of really interesting moments that lead to a lot of theory crafting, and I am extremely eager to see where the story goes next. I don't want to give away too many spoilers or anything, but if you haven't played DELTARUNE yet, you gotta give it a go. And if you haven't played Undertale either, you definitely gotta give that one a go. Next up is a game I haven't seen too much buzz about, and I probably wouldn't have even played it had a friend not told me about it. That game is Look Outside. This is a horror RPG with very good gameplay, an intriguing and unique plot, and what sells it the most is the music and the visuals. The art is gorgeous and at times extremely grotesque. The music, despite me having not played this in months, is still rooted in my brain. This is another game that greatly benefits from going in blind, so I do recommend it. Next up is what would have been my game of the year if the game after this one didn't top it. That game is Silent Hill F. Silent Hill is back? It was just as much a shock to me as it was to you. After Bloober Team's Silent Hill 2 remake took my spot as my favorite game of the year last year, the newest entry nearly took my spot as this year's game of the year. The game isn't perfect by any means, the combat can grow stale over time, and isn't all that fun for a game with so much of it. And the fact that you have to play the entire game multiple times to uncover more of the story is kind of a bummer. However, that story is quite amazing and full of depth. It's not a big surprise, considering the writer of the game is Ryukishi07. This name may sound familiar to you if you're a fan of the visual novel genre. Ryukishi wrote 2 of, if not the 2 best visual novels ever, Higurashi When They Cry and Umineko When They Cry. 2 games I've talked about in the past as well. These games are known for expertly handling dark topics, especially abuse, and Silent Hill F is no different. If you're familiar with Ryukishi's writing in the When They Cry series, then Silent Hill F will feel very familiar to you. The game can get a little scary, though Silent Hill 2 is definitely more scary in my opinion. As far as Silent Hill games go, I think that 2 is still the peak of the series, but F is a strong contender. I don't want to spoil it, but if you're a fan of Ryukishi or the Silent Hill series, this game is a must play. If you're a fan of Ryukishi and the Silent Hill series, what are you waiting for? Christmas? That was a few days ago, so get on it. Play Silent Hill F already. Last up is my personal pick for the game of the year of 2025. As previously stated, I did not play Expedition 33 or Silksong this year, two games that were heavily talked about this year. So what could it be? What could my favorite game of 2025 be? Well, it's another game that got a lot of buzz. Dispatch. I actually played a ton of Telltale games for the first time this year. I loved Wolf Among Us, and even as someone who doesn't really like the Borderlands games, I thought Tales from the Borderlands was excellent. Walking Dead Season 1 still holds up all these years later as well. And Batman was pretty dang fun too. So imagine my surprise when a game comes along featuring the voice of Aaron Paul, who voiced my favorite Breaking Bad character, a show I also happened to watch for the first time this year, and I hear talk of how amazing this game is. And lo and behold, I loved it. It's one of those games you can still get enjoyment out of by going to YouTube and watching other people react to certain scenes, see what choices they would make. The storyline was pretty straightforward superhero stuff with the spice of villains getting redemption. Nothing you ain't seen before, but it was executed well. The game shines brightest with the characters for me. I love these guys, I just freaking love them. The dialogue is really well done as well, and each of these characters feels alive in the sense that they each have super distinct personalities. I went from thinking Flambe was a stupid a-hole to absolutely just loving him by the end. I don't want to spoil too much, and I'll leave you with this one last thing. Invisigal is better than Blonde Blazer, and it isn't even close. Sorry to the Blonde Blazer fans. Anyway, awesome game. Play it, or at least watch a playthrough if you haven't already. Next up are the games I played this year for the first time that didn't come out this year. You may be thinking, what's the point of this? But in my opinion, I think it's unfair to not talk about games I enjoyed this year for the first time just because they didn't come out this year. It's like, I don't know, a posthumous award? Basically, I want to give these games a shout out and talk about what I enjoyed this year, even if it didn't come out this year. I'll try to go through most of these quickly because there's quite a few. Starting with the Telltale series, as previously mentioned, I played some of these games for the first time this year and very much enjoyed them. Wolf Among Us was definitely my favorite out of all of them, and a lot of it had to do with the atmosphere, the characters, and the writing. It was phenomenal. Next up, the Arkham series. I know. Am I even a real gamer if it took me this long to play the Arkham games? Honestly, I might be thinking the same thing now, because these games were excellent. Well, most of them were excellent. Well, half of them were excellent. Arkham Origins was pretty good, and Arkham Knight was fun and looked amazing, but I didn't like the car stuff too much. Arkham Asylum was amazing though. The atmosphere was so freaking good in that game, and atmosphere is one of my favorite aspects of games. Boss fights were kinda doo-doo though, which was improved upon greatly in Arkham City, which was my favorite game in the series. I really enjoyed the short but sweet segments where you got to play as Catwoman. Honestly, I'd play an entire game of just Catwoman. The combat was amazing, the bosses were great, the story was engaging, and the atmosphere was really good too. Not as good as Asylum, but come on. And the ending? Ooh, chef's kiss. I don't know where to slot this in, so I guess I'll just talk about it now. Sonic 06. This game is a piece of shit. However, the music is great, as expected of Sonic. The story is nonsensical, the levels suck, the gameplay is broken dog shit, and the only fun character, Blaze, was underused. That being said, it was still fun as hell because there was no other game this year that made me laugh as often as this one. Thank you for existing, Sonic 06, you absolute piece of crap. Next up, I'll talk about all the games that I played during this year's spooky season of October. I watched a friend play some of these, those being Misao, Yume Nikki, and the dreaded Corpse Party. Misao was slop-alicious, Corpse Party was outdated as hell and really odd at times and not very good, but still a classic. Yume Nikki was definitely the best of these three, with its bizarre, dreamy worlds and silly powers. You literally just walk around and collect the powers while observing this wacky world, and then you're treated to a quite bitter and sad ending. True classic. The spooky games I played were Mad Father, Eve, Faith the Unholy Trinity, and Parasite Eve. Of course, I also played Look Outside during October, but I already mentioned that. Mad Father was not great, and as a game made by the same creator as Misao, was just as slop-alicious. Eve was a true classic as well. Great story, interesting world, good characters, even the puzzles were fun. Faith was excellent. I never knew that a game that looked like this could be so freaking scary. The segment where you're running around the apartment using the flash of a camera every few seconds in order to see was one of the scariest things I've had to do in a game. Loved the story as well. And finally, Parasite Eve, a classic Square game from the PS1 era, produced by the man himself, Sakaguchi. This game was a ton of fun. The combat wasn't as smooth and diverse as a Final Fantasy game, but considering that Parasite Eve isn't that long, it didn't overstay its welcome and I enjoyed it regardless. Great story, great characters, great music. Would love to see it remade. The second game didn't hook me unfortunately, and don't even get me started on Third Birthday. Another game I played for the first time this year was Stardew Valley. It's a really cozy game and I played it co-op with a friend. I really enjoyed it and my favorite activity was fishing. I love fishing. Makes you wonder why I haven't fished too much in Final Fantasy XIV. Maybe I ought to change that. Lots of fun characters and fun events throughout the year, and is certainly near, if not at the top of the cozy farming game genre. I married Haley, in case you were wondering. I love a character who starts off quite cold and or mean, but reveals themselves to actually be quite a sweet person in reality. Before I talk about the next game, let me briefly mention Stranger of Paradise, that Final Fantasy spin-off game. You know, the one where you have to kill chaos. I played this with a friend and rather enjoyed it. The final boss was a little annoying, but I actually thought the gameplay was really fun. I like the job system, and I like how each job felt unique, even if for the most part it was just hitting enemies with a weapon. It was a fun game despite the convoluted story and the bizarre characters. I thought the gameplay was fun, and the music was good too. I'd recommend this game just for the gameplay alone, and even though it was downright silly, I actually smiled and enjoyed the game tying into Final Fantasy 1 at the end. Next up, speaking of Final Fantasy, I played through the entire Final Fantasy series with a friend this year. We took turns playing different games and watched each other play the games we weren't playing through. I watched him play FF1, FF3, FF6, FF8, FF13, FF15, and FF16. I played through FF2, FF4, FF5, FF7, FF9, FF10, and then attempted to play FF12 but didn't finish it. Sorry, I just didn't get hooked. I want to give it another go someday though. It feels weird leaving one unfinished. If you're wondering about FF11 and FF14, I've already played through 14 and am caught up on the current patch. God bless the glamour update. 14 is my favorite game of all time actually, and having played through the rest of the series, I have a new appreciation for all the references I didn't fully get before, like all the forest stuff in Endwalker. And I'm loving all the 9 references in Dawn Trail. And in regards to FF11, I've played about 30 hours of it, and having barely done any story stuff because it's very much an MMO, and so there is quite a bit of running around and doing random stuff. I've enjoyed what I played of it so far though, and am looking forward to playing more, especially after meeting Prish in the Dawn Trail Alliance raids. I absolutely adore her, and if she's this good in a crossover, then I can't wait to meet her in the game she came from. I'll probably have more to say on this game next year. Anyway, bearing in mind that some of these I haven't played myself and only watched a friend play, here's my ranking of the games from best to worst, excluding 14 and 11. An S tier is FF7, FF10, FF6, and then FF9. An A tier is FF5 and FF8. And B tier is FF16, FF13, which is underrated, the music is S tier and lightning is overhated, FF4, and FF15. And C tier is FF3 and FF1. At the bottom in D tier, to nobody's surprise, it's FF2, which had horrible dungeons filled to the brim with empty rooms that have an encounter trigger on every tile, a bizarre and frankly bad way to level up stats, you have to intentionally take damage to level up your health, why? And grindy as hell magic leveling up as well. The only good characters in this game are the temporary party members, and quite frankly this game would have been a horrible nightmare if I hadn't played the Pixel Remaster, which lets you turn off encounters in the horrible dungeons. At least the final boss wasn't dog shit and died easily to the blood sword. Anyway, the other placements make sense I hope. FF1 isn't bad, but it doesn't do anything better than any other game in the series, and it's a fun first entry with a horrible final boss, fuck you Chaos. FF3 is a really good game with a fun job system that suffers from horrible segments where you're forced to be mini, an extremely unfun and punishing and terrible final dungeon. Best overworld theme though, Eternal Wind My Beloved. FF15 is a weird one. The characters apart from the 4 main guys are really undercooked. Luna Freya feels like she should have had a bigger role than she did. The gameplay wasn't bad at all, and it has a really gorgeous world. The story is just really bled to me though, and I wasn't all that engaged by it or the characters. For all its faults though, I thought the ending was really good, and the last cutscene at the campsite made me cry buckets of tears from my eyeballs. FF4 is the first game in the series to attempt a story, and I thought it was pretty decent. Golbez is a neat character, and I enjoyed Cecil's arc, even though it happened a lot quicker than I was expecting. The constant fake-out deaths were really stupid though, and the final boss sucked balls because I was slightly under-leveled for him, even though I didn't struggle at all on any of the enemies before him, and I had to rewatch a 5-minute long unskippable cutscene every time I died, and I had to refight him, which forced me to eventually say F you Zeromus, and turn on EXP boost, and level up on some enemies quickly, and then go kick his stupid ass. Thank God for the Pixel Remaster. FF13 I expected to be bad because I seemed to only ever hear bad things about it, but I thought it was actually pretty damn good. I liked the characters, yes, even Hope. The music was some of the best in the series. The gameplay was unique and fun. Some bosses kind of sucked, and some enemies kind of sucked. When the game finally becomes open and less linear, the enemies are really annoying and suck. But other than that, it was a lot of fun, and despite me being confused by the story, I enjoyed it regardless. I think this is one of those games that if you wrote it off, you should give it a try. and if you played it and didn't like it when it came out, I'd say give it another shot. You might end up enjoying it more this time around. Yes, it's very linear for the first large chunk of the game, but that's not that big of a deal. Come on, guys. If F16 is next, originally I would have put this game a little higher because I did play it the year it came out, as you can see from my FF16 review and my 2023 Games of the Year video. But after now having seen the rest of the FF series and re-experiencing it while watching my friend play it, I put it a little lower. The only character really worth any salt is Clive, and the game is just much too long. One of the longest games in the series, and a lot of it is just walking around and talking NPCs to progress the story. You can really tell that it was made by the FF14 team. It wasn't something I really had a problem with when I first played, since I was used to it from my time playing 14, but I don't think the next game should follow in its footsteps. Ben Starr is still excellent and I love him. The game has really high highs, such as the icon battles, but suffers from some pacing issues. I still enjoy it a lot, and I won't ever say I dislike the game, even if there are people who do quite dislike it. Something I criticized the game for back when I first played it, and still feel is a major issue, is Jill's character. She has one segment in the game where she's kind of important, and for the rest of the game, she's just kind of there. It's really odd. There's not really any female character in the game that I feel is both well written and important to the plot. Benedict is fine, and Clive's mom, I forgot her name, it starts with an A I think, is borderline goofy with how evil she is. It's strange because this is not a problem in 14, where several of my favorites from that game are female characters, like Alice, Cryo, Tataru, Banat, Meteon, and of course Y'shtola, so I don't really know what happened. I think they wanted to make a game about Clive and kind of didn't really know what to do with anyone else besides Sid, who of course was important because he died. Anyway, despite the problems I and many people have with it, I enjoyed the game, but I wish the combat had a bit more depth. Next is FF8. This game is truly a game with many flaws that still manages to impress despite those flaws. I'm just glad I watched a friend play it and didn't have to play it myself. The models are kind of hideous, and the story is downright strange at times, but the game has a very unique feel to it. It's from an era where Square wasn't afraid to experiment, and I think it's really cool that you can break the game into pieces using triple triad cards, and by not leveling up too much. It's kind of antithetical to the RPG genre to have a game where you don't want to level up, but that's what makes this game unique. The characters aren't the best the series has to offer, but I really like Squall and Renoa. Also Laguna, whose gameplay sections and story were pretty dang cool. Next, FF5. I love the hell out of this game, and the only reason it's not in S tier is because the characters and the story aren't quite up to par. Don't get me wrong, I love how stupid and funny of a villain X-Death can be, and Galif's sacrifice did get me emotional, and there were certainly emotional scenes throughout. Oh, and of course Gilgamesh was amazing, but let's not try to convince ourselves the story was amazing like the games I have in S tier. No, what really makes this game shine is the gameplay. The job system is an improvement in every way to the job system introduced in 3, and was so damn fun that I went out of my way to get all the blue magic and to grind up a bunch of jobs to turn Bart into a godly freelancer and the rest of the party into god tier mimes by the end. It was so satisfying to become powerful, and in terms of replayability, this game is one of the highest in the series thanks to the job system. I don't see this game being talked about too often, so please do give it a shot if you haven't. Now for S tier, the cream of the crop, starting with FF9. For some people, this is their favorite FF game, and I can't even blame them. Vivi is by far my favorite character in the series, and I absolutely adore the story and atmosphere of this game. The reason it isn't quite as good as the remaining 3 games mostly boils down to the gameplay. First of all, initiating combat is slower than molasses. The screen fades to black, the battle music starts, and then the battle screen slowly comes into view. It takes like 20 seconds for a battle to start from the moment you first run into a random encounter. It was so slow it got to the point I was intentionally tapping forward on the overworld, because supposedly it makes encounters less frequent. That's not where my complaints end, however. The actual combat is slow as well. The ATB gauge will fill up, and you'll queue an attack, and it will take like a full minute sometimes for it to happen. Nothing pisses me off more than using Cure on Eiko, only to watch for the next minute as several enemies have their turns and kill the dude I was trying to heal. So after a full minute, Eiko just ends up using Cure on herself. Yeah, thanks a lot. My final complaint with the combat is the trance system. Outside of boss battles, this system is borderline useless. I don't understand why you can enter a trance at the very end of combat, do nothing with it while another party member ends the combat, and then the trance is just gone. Why wouldn't you just make it like Limit Break in FF7, where it charges up and stays charged up between battles so you can use it whenever you see fit? It was so annoying, and the slow combat didn't really make it feel much better anyway. I remember trying to use Vivi's double black magic during his trance only for several turns to pass while he patiently waited his turn, and then the enemy cast Reflect on themselves and fucking killed Vivi dead. Goodbye Vivi, and goodbye to your trance. Other than that though, I loved the game. I loved the characters, the humor, the music, the world, all of it. If they did a very small scale remake that just improved the graphics and made tweaks to the gameplay to make it quicker and change trance to be something you decide to activate, then this game would probably be 2 spots higher on my list. I love Vivi so much, he made me cry buckets of tears. Next is FF6, another game some would call their favorite, and I wouldn't even argue the point. This game is the pinnacle of the original pixel-style games. The best story by far, the best gameplay even outdoing the excellent FF5, an absolute amazing world filled with excellent characters and atmosphere, and the first truly iconic villain of the series with one of the best final boss fights of all time. I mean, what do you want me to say? If you haven't played this game or watched a playthrough, get on it. Next is FF10. I didn't expect to like this game as much as I did. I mean, I didn't think I'd dislike it or anything, but to have it this high on my list above FF6 and FF9 was not something I had expected. My only gripe with this game is the dungeons where you have to do the puzzles with those stupid balls. I didn't like those too much, but they didn't take too long, so I'll forgive them. This game had unforgettable music, excellent characters, and probably my favorite turn-based gameplay ever. The simple fact that you could see the turn order was such an amazing thing, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. The swiftness of the combat was welcome as well, especially after FF9's slow as shit combat. I absolutely loved being able to swap out party members mid-combat and have them attack as soon as you swap them out as well. Oh man, it was so freaking fun. The sphere grid was enormous, but man did I enjoy it. The only place it fell apart a little was the final boss who stomped my ass into the dirt. He was just too damn hard, so I went out of my way to get a bunch of ultimate weapons and really good gear that prevented zombification. It had like auto protect on it or something. I might have went a little overboard on the side content though, because when I went back to the final boss, I absolutely rolled him. He was a damn chump. Anyway, this is one of those games that deserves the praise it gets for sure, and it must have been unbelievable when it came out on the PS2. And of course, the ending made me cry buckets of tears as well. And then of course at the tippy top is FF7, surprise surprise, the most popular game in the series. I know, what a normie I am. But goddamn, this game is so special. The characters are the best in the series, the story amazing, and I love the ambiguous ending. Sephiroth, best villain in the series, besides you-know-who from 14 of course. The gameplay excellent, the music iconic. The world, unforgettable. I mean, you got Cosmo Canyon, the Gold Saucer Midgar, the Forgotten City. I loved every single second I played this game. Maybe I slightly preferred FF10's combat. Maybe I like Vivi more than anyone. Maybe there are games that do certain little things better, but no game does everything this well all at once besides FF7. If you were only going to play one FF game, it would be this one for sure. It has all the Final Fantasy staples and everything that makes a Final Fantasy game excellent. Unique party members with unique gameplay, the materia system which encourages experimentation, extremely fun limit breaks, iconic enemies such as the Tonberry, the Cactuar, and creatures such as the Chocobo, extremely fluid and fun combat, an excellent story. I mean, come on. Of course this game is the best in the series. Oh, and I should mention I also watched my friend play FF7 Remake and Rebirth. They're a lot of fun and I enjoy the characters themselves. The story is kind of, well, it's certainly interesting, I suppose. I'll have to see how it concludes in part 3 before making my final judgment. Rebirth had really fun gameplay, padded out with stupid mini-games everywhere you looked. And a very odd story indeed. I freaking love Yuffie though, my favorite character from FF7. God bless Yuffie, she's so funny. And now for the last game. This is almost a tradition at this point for my Games of the Year videos, but my favorite game of this year that didn't come out this year is once again a visual novel. After this one though, there's not too many that I have my eye on, and I'm not sure that this and Umineko can be topped. That visual novel is, of course, The House in Fata Morgana. I absolutely do not want to spoil a single thing about this game. The characters are amazing, some of the best written I've ever seen. There's a lot of symbolism and themes within that are so well handled. Absolutely stellar writing. Even if there are characters that do despicable things, they're handled so well. And the characters who go through rough things, truly terrible things, are handled with finesse and care. God damn, it's so good. There's also a prequel that you can play after beating the game, as well as a sequel that are both quite excellent as well, and leaves you satisfied. You don't have to though, they're optional. You can just play The House in Fata Morgana and leave it at that and still be immensely satisfied. Fantastic and unique art style that would make even Steins Gate jealous, and goddamn, the soundtrack, it's amazing. Rivals and may even exceed the Umineko soundtrack, it's that good. If you're a fan of visual novels and you haven't yet read The House in Fata Morgana, stop what you're doing and go purchase it on Steam now. It's currently on sale, but even off sale it's worth every penny. Even if this game was $100, it would be worth it. And yes, this game made me cry buckets of tears multiple times. It's so good. This game deserves way more recognition. It's amazing. And that's my end of the year video. Here are some quick screenshots of my Spotify Wrapped and my YouTube recap if you care at all. And with that, I hope you had a good 2025. I know it can be hard and not everything is great right now. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, but just stay true to yourself, spend time with the people you care about and that care about you, and you'll surmount any hardship. I don't want to get all sappy, but sometimes sappy can be nice to hear. Anyway, let's all have a great 2026, and I look forward to releasing even more fun videos next year. Thanks for watching this far, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. No, but for real, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now.
nothing.